It was just a few days before Christmas, and the luxury car dealership was packed with customers. Bright lights reflected off polished floors, and shiny vehicles sat perfectly lined up, each one decorated with red bows and holiday signs. Salespeople moved confidently from customer to customer, greeting well-dressed buyers with warm smiles. Then Steven Seagal walked in. He wasn't wearing a suit. No designer coat. Just a simple jacket, dark jeans, and boots that showed signs of real use. He looked calm, quiet, almost invisible in a place built for attention. No one rushed toward him. A salesman glanced over, then looked away. Steven slowly walked toward a black SUV on display. He studied it carefully, running his hand along the door, imagining his daughter's smile on Christmas morning. After a moment, he turned and finally caught the attention of a salesman. "Yes?" the salesman said, clearly uninterested. Steven smiled politely. "I'm looking to buy a car for my daughter. It's a Christmas gift." The salesman raised an eyebrow, barely hiding a smirk. He scanned Steven from head to toe, then chuckled under his breath. Nearby customers noticed and exchanged amused looks. "A car like this?" the salesman asked, sounding doubtful. "You know this isn't cheap, right?" Steven nodded calmly. "I understand." The salesman leaned back, arms crossed. "We have more affordable options in the back. Used cars. Might be more suitable." Steven didn't react. He didn't get offended. He didn't explain himself. "I'd like to see this one," he said simply. The salesman laughed softly, shaking his head. "Sure you do." Other staff members whispered. One of them smiled, already convinced this would go nowhere. No one realized they were about to witness a moment that would change the entire room. Because while they laughed, Steven Seagal remained calm. And what he was about to do next would leave everyone speechless. The salesman led Steven Seagal to the SUV, still smirking, clearly unconvinced. "So, you're really buying this for your daughter?" he asked, his tone dripping with disbelief. "Most people don't even know the first thing about these vehicles. Are you sure you can handle it?" Steven's calm gaze never wavered. "Yes, I'm sure," he replied softly. "I want this car for her. It's a Christmas gift." The salesman snorted, glancing around at his colleagues. "Well, I guess it's cute that you want to give a gift, but you do realize this one is top of the line, right? It's not cheap. Maybe a smaller model would be better. Easier on the budget." Other customers nearby had started noticing. A couple of teenagers nudged each other, whispering and pointing subtly toward Steven. Their phones were out, ready to record. Something about the scene felt tense, unusual. The whispers spread, "Who is this guy?" The salesman leaned closer. "Listen, it's the holidays. People get excited, sure. But paying for this one? Are you serious?" He chuckled again, clearly expecting Steven to back down. Steven didn't flinch. "I am serious," he said simply. "My daughter loves cars. I promised her a special gift this Christmas." The salesman laughed louder this time, shaking his head. "You don't look like someone who can just buy a car like this in cash. Maybe financing? Or," he gestured toward the used models in the back, "something more affordable." Steven didn't argue or raise his voice. He just smiled faintly and waited, as if letting the salesman's doubt hang in the air. He didn't need to prove himself yet. The moment was building naturally. Nearby, a few bystanders were now filming discreetly. A mother whispered to her friend, "Why is he treating him like that? It's Christmas, for goodness sake." Steven glanced at the car once more, gently running his hand along the door. "I'd like to see the final price," he said politely, ignoring the mocking tone. "Then I'll decide." The salesman opened his mouth to laugh again, but paused, sensing the calm authority in Steven's voice. The room went slightly quiet. For the first time, the disbelief in the staff's faces faltered, just enough to hint that this was not going to be an ordinary interaction. Have you ever been judged unfairly like this? Comment below, and tell us which country and city you're watching from. The tension was growing. Steven Seagal didn't need to yell. He didn't need to fight. His quiet confidence was already making the staff uneasy, and the next moments would shock everyone in the dealership. The salesman finally handed Steven the brochure, his smirk still firmly in place. "Here's the breakdown," he said, flipping through the pages as if every number could somehow intimidate Steven. "Monthly payments, financing options, or, if you insist, you can try to pay upfront. But honestly, I don't think you're serious about this car." Steven didn't react. He leaned against the SUV, calmly studying the interior. "I am serious," he he said, voice low but firm. I want to buy it outright. My daughter will be very happy. The salesman laughed openly this time, drawing the attention of other customers. Outright? Really? Do you even know what that means? Most people here would have to take loans for this car. It's not a toy. Stephen glanced around the room. His daughter's smile flashed in his mind, her excitement at the idea of Christmas morning. That image gave him a quiet strength. I've planned for this, he said. And I intend to keep my promise. Other staff whispered among themselves. One of them muttered, who even is this guy? But no one dared interrupt. The tension in the room thickened. The salesman, sensing a challenge, leaned closer. You know, usually people don't just show up and pay cash for a luxury car. It's unusual. Makes me wonder, are you sure this is wise? Stephen's calmness never broke. It is wise for me, he said, meeting the salesman's gaze. I want to do this right. I want to make my daughter happy. That's all that matters today. The crowd of onlookers had grown. A few people had discreetly pulled out their phones. Whispers turned into murmurs. Who is this guy? He's so calm, the salesman looks nervous. Stephen's daughter, although not present, was the reason for his composure. He wasn't showing off. He wasn't trying to prove anything. He was standing his ground quietly, letting integrity speak louder than words. The salesman's smirk began to falter. The disbelief in his eyes was now mixed with unease. He had underestimated Stephen's presence, his quiet confidence, and the simple power of a man who meant exactly what he said. If you were in Steven Seagal's place, would you stay calm and stand your ground, or walk away? Comment stand if you would stay and prove them wrong. The tension was at its peak. Everyone in the dealership felt it. And yet, Stephen remained composed, ready for the moment that would shock the entire room. The salesman finally led Steven Seagal to the payment desk, still shaking his head in disbelief. All right, let's see if you're serious, he muttered under his breath, flipping through the car's final price sheet. He glanced at his colleagues, who were now watching with barely concealed curiosity. Stephen leaned on the counter, calm and patient. I'd like the final price for the car, he said simply, his voice quiet but firm. Once I know, I can make the payment. The salesman hesitated, almost fumbling with the papers. Well, the total comes to, he paused, trying to read the numbers without looking embarrassed, $85,000. That's the full amount, taxes included. Other staff members exchanged shocked looks. A few whispered, did he really just show up to buy this outright? Stephen nodded politely. Thank you. That works. The salesman tried to maintain his smirk, but it was fading. So, you're really paying cash? Like, full cash? Right here. Yes, Stephen replied. I want to do this right now. A few customers nearby began whispering excitedly. Is that Steven Seagal? One asked. Others quickly realized who it was. The actor? The martial artist. But Stephen didn't say a word about his fame. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't let the growing attention affect him. He stayed humble, simply standing there, ready to complete the purchase. The room began to feel tight with tension. The staff realized their previous mockery was misplaced. Their disbelief was fading, replaced by a growing unease. The manager, who had been observing from the back office, stepped closer. Sir, is there anything else you need before we process this? The manager asked, clearly trying to maintain professionalism. Stephen smiled gently. No. Just the car ready for my daughter. That's all that matters today. The crowd of onlookers had grown even more, several discreetly recording the scene on their phones. Whispers filled the room. He's so calm. The staff can't believe it. This is going to be incredible to watch. For the first time, the salesman's confidence wavered. The smirk was gone, replaced by a nervous tightening of his jaw. The quiet dignity in Stephen's presence was stronger than any intimidation or laughter he had tried to wield. At that moment, the dynamic shifted. The joke was no longer on Stephen. He had not only remained composed, but he had also turned the energy of the room in his favor, silently, effortlessly, and with absolute control. The turning point had arrived. The salesman tried one last time to assert control. So, you really expect me to believe you can pay for this car today? In full? He said, voice dripping with skepticism. Most people here would need financing. Are you serious, or is this some kind of joke? Steven Seagal looked at him calmly, his expression unchanging. I am serious, he said simply. I plan to pay in full. Right now. The room fell into a hush. Other staff and customers stopped what they were doing, sensing that something remarkable was unfolding. Some whispered to each other, barely able to contain their surprise. The salesman laughed nervously, hoping to diffuse the tension. "You're joking, right? Nobody just pulls out cash like that for a luxury car. It's unusual." Stephen took a slow step forward, his voice steady and commanding. "I promised my daughter a special gift this Christmas. I don't make promises I don't keep. This car will be hers." His calm confidence was unnerving. It was not loud, not confrontational, but it carried a quiet weight that silenced the staff. Every eye in the dealership turned toward him, watching as he prepared to back up his words. The salesman swallowed hard. "Okay, well, if you insist, let's see the cash then. Maybe we can process it." Stephen pulled out his wallet and, with precise, deliberate movements, began preparing the transaction. There was no showmanship, no boast. Just calm authority. Nearby customers had now gathered, some filming discreetly. Whispers turned into murmurs. "He's not joking, he really can do it." "I can't believe," the salesman laughed at him. The tension in the room had shifted entirely. The once confident staff were now nervous. The smirk that had defined the salesman's attitude earlier was gone, replaced by an awkward, pale-faced uncertainty. Stephen's gaze never wavered. He wasn't just buying a car, he was setting the room straight, showing that respect, integrity, and calmness carry more power than mockery ever could. "Everything will be done properly," he said softly. "No shortcuts. No excuses. Just honesty." The staff nodded slowly, realizing the joke was on them, not Stephen. The moment of truth had arrived, and soon, they would all witness a lesson they wouldn't forget anytime soon. Have you ever proven someone wrong with calm confidence? Comment power if you believe in standing firm with dignity. Just as the salesman was about to process the transaction, the dealership manager approached, having observed the entire scene from the back office. His eyes widened as he realized who was standing at the counter. "Wait, sir," the manager said, stepping closer. "Are you Steven Seagal?" A murmur ran through the room. Customers and staff alike paused, jaws dropping. Whispers spread, "No way, that's him." "The actor? The martial artist?" The salesman's face went pale. His confident smirk had vanished completely, replaced by shock and embarrassment. He stammered, I didn't realize. I thought." Steven Seagal remained calm, his expression unchanged. He didn't gloat. He didn't taunt. He simply said, "I came here to keep a promise to my daughter. That's all that matters today." A few staff members began murmuring apologies. One whispered to another, "We shouldn't have laughed, we treated him like any other customer." The manager nodded. "Sir, we will make sure everything is ready immediately. I'm very sorry for the way you were treated." Stephen gave a small, polite nod. "Thank you. I hope this reminds everyone that respect should come first, regardless of who someone is, or how they look." The room had completely shifted. The salespeople who had mocked him earlier were now quiet, humbled, and visibly uncomfortable with their previous behavior. Customers who had been filming exchanged looks of amazement. Stephen completed the cash transaction calmly, signing the papers without a hint of arrogance. Every eye in the dealership was on him, witnessing not just a purchase, but a lesson in dignity, humility, and quiet power. Outside the dealership, the story began to spread quickly on social media. Videos captured the moment, showing Stephen's composure and the stunned reactions of the staff. Comments poured in, "This is how you handle disrespect with class. Respect should always come first." The once arrogant salesman could only watch, realizing the weight of his earlier mockery. He had underestimated not just a man's wealth, but his integrity, patience, and quiet authority. If you believe respect should be given to every person, type respect in the comments. Stand for dignity, not judgment. Stephen's calmness and humility had turned the entire situation upside down. The lesson was clear: true power isn't in mocking or doubting someone, it's in integrity, patience, and keeping one's promises. The dealership had gone quiet. The initial laughter, the smirks, the disbelief, all of it had vanished. What remained was awe and respect, slowly replacing embarrassment and regret. Steven Seagal had not only bought the car for his daughter but had done so in a way that left everyone in the room speechless. The young staff members who had whispered and chuckled earlier now stood stiffly behind the counters, unsure how to act. Even the senior salesman, once so confident, avoided eye contact, his earlier arrogance replaced by a heavy sense of shame. The manager cleared his throat, attempting to restore professionalism. "Sir, we'll have the car prepared immediately. And on behalf of our team, I sincerely apologize for how you were treated." Stephen nodded politely. "Thank you. I hope this experience reminds everyone that respect should be given before assumptions are made. It's a simple thing, but it changes everything." His calm, composed words lingered in the air longer than any sales pitch ever could. The staff realized that the lesson wasn't just about money or fame, it was about dignity, humility, and treating people fairly regardless of appearances. Outside, the story had already begun to spread. Customers who had discreetly filmed the encounter posted videos online. Within hours, the clip went viral. Millions of views poured in from around the world. Comments flooded social media. "This is how a true gentleman handles disrespect. Respect should always come first, no matter who you are." Wow, the calm and confidence is inspiring. The dealership, once a place of disbelief and mockery, became the center of a global lesson in humility. The staff were contacted by news outlets, explaining the incident and how they had misjudged Steven Seagal. The story sparked conversations about integrity, assumptions, and human dignity in offices, schools, and homes worldwide. Meanwhile, Steven's daughter was thrilled beyond words when she finally saw the car. Her eyes sparkled with excitement, and the smile on her face lit up the room. To her, it was the perfect Christmas gift, but for the adults in the dealership, it had become something much bigger, a moment of self-reflection. Steven didn't gloat, and he didn't seek praise. His satisfaction came from keeping his promise and showing that patience, composure, and quiet authority can achieve far more than arrogance or mockery ever could. He had turned a simple gift into a universal lesson about respect, fairness, and the power of calm confidence. If you believe no one should be judged by appearance, type respect in the comments. Stand for dignity, kindness, and integrity every day. And don't forget to subscribe for more inspiring stories like this one. The story of that Christmas car would live on, not just for the gift itself, but for the reminder that true power lies in humility, quiet strength, and respect. In that dealership, laughter had turned to silence, disbelief had turned to admiration, and a simple act of generosity had created a lesson that would resonate far beyond the walls of that showroom.